There's a particular silence that shows up right after you finally prove someone wrong. You expect it to sound like winning. It sounds like a door being quietly shut. That's the bit nobody warns you about. You can be completely right. You can have the dates, the screenshot, the whole email chain. And the other person still will not say the words. They go quiet. They change the subject. They suddenly need to look at something urgent on their phone. And you walk away technically victorious and practically further from where you wanted to be than when you started. The standard advice here is to bring better evidence. Stay calm. Present the facts. Be logical. Don't get emotional. Let the truth do the work. It almost never works, and it fails for a fairly boring reason. You're playing a game the other person isn't playing. You think the two of you are disagreeing about what is true. They are having an experience about what kind of person they are. Because for most people, in most moments, admitting fault doesn't cost information. It costs identity. Saying, "I was wrong about the budget," isn't a tidy little factual correction inside their head. It's a confession that reads, "I'm careless. I don't have a grip on things. I'm the kind of person who gets it wrong, and now you've seen it." That's an expensive sentence. And every extra piece of evidence you stack up makes it more expensive, because now they'd have to admit they were wrong and that they defended it for 40 minutes in front of everybody. You keep raising the price, and then you wonder why nobody's buying. So the move isn't to argue harder. The move is to make being wrong cheap. Start by separating the person from the position. Picture a planning meeting on a Tuesday morning. Your colleague Daniel says the client hated the new design and the whole thing needs redoing. You have the email open in front of you where the client said they liked it. The natural instinct is to read that email out. Slowly, with feeling. Do that, and Daniel doesn't hear the design is fine. He hears, "Daniel is unreliable," and now 6 people know. What works better is to give the mistake somewhere else to live. Not inside Daniel. Outside him. I think we got handed 2 different versions of this. I think the feedback came through in a strange order. I read that call the same way you did until I saw this. You're just declining to make the error part of his character. A position can be wrong without a person being defective, and if you hold that line out loud, he can put the position down without putting himself down with it. One sentence you can use today. I read it the same way you did, until I saw this. It hands them your own mistake as a gift. If you were also wrong, then being wrong isn't shameful. It's just Tuesday. The second move is the exit. People don't reverse in public unless there's somewhere to reverse to. If the only road out of the argument runs straight through a formal surrender, they will stay in the argument forever because standing still is more comfortable than crawling. So build them a road. My favorite one is short. You might be right. Walk me through it. Say it and mean it, because occasionally they are right and you'd genuinely rather know. But watch what it does even when they're not. It takes the weight off their chest. It turns them from a defendant into a narrator. And people who narrate their own reasoning out loud, calmly, without being rushed, tend to walk into the gap all by themselves. Halfway through the walkthrough you'll hear it. "Well, no, hang on, that was the old figure. They found it," which means they get to keep it. Nobody took it off them. Picture your sister, completely certain the flight leaves at 7, when you're fairly sure it's 9:05. Reading out the booking confirmation makes her the woman who nearly ruined the holiday. Saying, "You might be right. Walk me through it, because I've got something different here," makes her a woman checking a detail with her brother. Same outcome, completely different price. Third thing, stop demanding the words. This one is hard, because there's a version of all of us that doesn't just want the problem solved. It wants the transcript. It wants, "You were right, and I was wrong," said out loud, ideally in front of the same audience that heard the original claim. Here's the trade you're actually making. You can have the apology, or you can have the change. Very often you cannot have both, at least not on the same day. Think of a partner who has insisted for years that the bins go out on Wednesday, wrongly, cheerfully, with total confidence. You do not get a confession. What you get, 1 week, is the bins quietly going out on Tuesday night with no announcement at all. That is the apology. It's just wearing different clothes. So when someone starts to move, when the tone softens, when they say, "Fine, let's do it your way," take the win and stop talking. No victory lap. Don't say, "So you admit you were wrong." That sentence has never once improved a situation in human history. All it does is convert a person who was quietly changing their mind into a person defending their dignity. And dignity is a far better fighter than an opinion ever was. And give it time offline. Almost nobody changes their mind in the room. They change it in the car, in the shower, at 11 p.m. with a toothbrush in their hand. when the thing you said finally arrives without you attached to it. Which means your goal in the conversation was never the concession. It's leaving the idea somewhere they can pick it up later, in private, where it's free. If you want the whole thing in one breath, you cannot argue somebody into admitting fault, because the bill you're handing them isn't factual, it's personal. Make it cheap and they'll pay it. Make it humiliating and they will fight you until the sun goes out. So quickly, put the mistake outside the person. Bad information, crossed wires, two versions of a document, a call that went strangely. Let the position fall over without taking them down with it. Then hand them the exit, and let them actually use it. You might be right, walk me through it. Then stop hunting for the words. Watch the behavior instead, and when the behavior moves, let the moment pass without commentary. One last thing, because it's worth saying plainly. This isn't a trick for winning. If you use, "you might be right, walk me through it," as a clever little trap, they will smell it on you, and honestly you'll deserve that. The reason this sentence works is that it is sometimes true. You have been the person defending a wrong thing across a dinner table, gripping it harder every minute. So have I. What you wanted in that moment wasn't a better argument from the other side. It was a way to put the thing down without anybody watching you do it. Give people that, and you'll be surprised how often they take it. Not immediately, not with a speech, but by next week, quietly, the bins will be out on a Tuesday. See you in the next scribble.